Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome students to the online NPTEL course User Interface Design. We started discussing about typography in the previous class. Today we will discuss about the usage of typography in the design. So in the previous class we talked about the evolution of typography. We talked about the history, how the different kind of typefaces evolved throughout the time frame, and then the morphology, what are the different elements within the typography. We talked about the particular element within particular typefaces, and the how two letters can be juxtaposed. We have discussed kerning, and then classification of typefaces based on their morphology, and also we have connected the classification with the time frame as well, which is a part of the evolution of the typography. So this part we have covered in the previous class, and today we will discuss about the design and how we can use these typefaces, and in what basis we have to select the particular typefaces into our design. So mostly we will not, if we are talking about the GUI, the graphic user interface, or the UI designing the front end of user interface design, so you will be selecting the typefaces, and sometimes you need to select and juxtapose two different typefaces, and you have to create the hierarchy of the design. So you need to understand what kind of typefaces you have to select from a vast available digital typefaces which is there in the which is available on the internet. So based on the pictorial quality and the legibility of the typefaces, things can differ, and how much pictorial quality, how much ornamentation you want to have in the typefaces versus what is the whether you want to go for a minimal style of typefaces, where to balance it out, and based on your design, and are also based on the purpose of the design. Then selection of digital typefaces based on these, and what style of typefaces, when there are ornamentation in the typefaces, so that also talks about some metaphorical connection of a particular style, particular connotation will can also be there with the particular design style. So how to select that. Then the impact of color on legibility, and impact of other elements on hierarchy. So how to achieve the hierarchy, which can also be the derivative of color, pictorial quality, and other elements, for example italics, bold, or width of the typefaces, and changing the other ornamentation, positioning, and creating deciding upon the excites. So we will discuss about the selection of typefaces for design. There we will talk about the pictorial quality and the legibility. So pictorial quality increases when we add ornamentation in the typefaces. So more the ornate, more it looks pictorial, and we delete the ornamentation, it becomes more legible. For example, if it is geometric sans serif, it will be more legible. For example, if it is Futura, is more legible than Clarendon, which has a lot of which is a slab serif or Egyptian, which has a lot of ornamentation. And if we select black letter, which is the Gothic style of font, which then it will be more pictorial than even more pictorial than Clarendon, and which is difficult to read. So if you type a text in Clarendon, black letter, and Futura will come somewhere here, Clarendon will come here, and black letter will come somewhere here. So black letter will have more pictorial quality. So if you see black letters type B, which has something like this, and lot of different elements are there in the particular typefaces, versus this Futura's B will be very simple semicircles, and Clarendon will have some serif, thick slab serif end. Now, based on this, we can categorize this typefaces into three broader categories. One is very graphical typography, where the graphical quality is much more. Then a display typography. Display typography is the typography where with these kind of typefaces we design the logo. So this logo and logo or the display board of a particular shop front, or the name of a particular building, or the header of a particular graphic design, that particular this display typography has some ornamentation. These ornamentations are required to grab users' attention. So there are two different things in design. One is attraction value, one is attention value. So these display typography has much more attraction value than the typefaces which is more legible. So for more legible typefaces, for example Futura, Helvetica, they don't have any ornamentation, but they don't have attraction value. So if you create some pattern into the typefaces, they will grab people's attention much quickly than a very simple minimalist typefaces. And also they have more memorability, and that's why it will stay in the user's mind, and it will create a higher impact in the mental model of the people. So they will remember the typefaces because they have a particular design, particular ornamentation in the typefaces. So they have the power to be a display typefaces. But the typography for the text does not have this. So they are just for quick and easy reading. So they have the most amount of legibility in the typography. So this is the graphical typography. This is really high on pictorial quality and very less legibility is really less. So you have to decipher it with longer time. You have to look at it for longer time to interpret it. For example, if it is a graffiti work or very ornate abstract pattern, this becomes a graphical typography. And again, another thing is, when you cannot read a particular language, then it becomes just a graphical typography for you. So it has a higher pictorial quality and less legibility. So in the frame, it will come somewhere here towards the pictorial quality, and it will have less legibility. Here we have two examples from a kalamkari print, which is from Andhra Pradesh, and which is a vegetable print. And here this is a Telugu script written within the painting, and this is a photograph of the front door of Taj Mahal, and this is a Urdu script written here on top of the palace's entrance, the Taj Mahal's entrance, the tomb's entrance. So here, if you look at the Urdu script and the Telugu script, the curvilinearity and all these line quality kind of blends with the kalamkari styles printing, because the people who write this kind of letters conditioned in that way, so that they also, when they paint, they also create the similar kind of line and quality. So this kind of goes well with the style of design. Now if you replace this here, it will not go, because the Urdu script and the kashidas and the lines which we see over here goes with the style of the design of other ornamentation with the Saracenic style of the monument. So here for people who cannot read this language, this becomes just a pattern of the graphical, this appears as a graphical typefaces, and that goes with the style of the design, because we are conditioned in that way. And we can also associate a particular style of design with the language and the style of language and the scripture of that particular language. For example, the Urdu style will go with the Saracenic architecture, and whereas the Telugu script will go with this kalamkari print. And if we have a, for example, if we have a Chinese restaurant's shop front design, so we should go with the Chinese calligraphic style of design. We should not use, take design inspiration from other languages style, for example Urdu or Telugu. So we will see how we can explore the graphical quality of typefaces when we create some design and create some new typefaces design. We will discuss this in the this lecture in the next few part. Unknown language acts as a pattern, not as a text, and which also falls under the graphical typography. Now this is the display typography. In this typography, it is something balanced between it has some balance between the pictorial quality as well as the legibility. It takes more time to decipher than the body of the text. The most legible typefaces, the minimalist, where the ornamentations are minimal, but it takes lesser time to decipher, to read than a very high graphical typefaces. For example, this Coca-Cola logos, Linkin Park's logos, Pink Floyd logos, and the Bauhaus poster. This has a particular style of typefaces, so there are ornamentation in the typefaces, and that's why it can stay. It has a particular visual quality, and it creates a mental model. If the typeface does not have any ornamentation, it will not stay in people's mind, and it will not create a mental model, and it cannot create a brand identity if it does not have any pictorial quality. And but it is better legible than a graphical typeface. So you have to read it, but you have to take a little amount of time to read it so that people register the logo. So for example, Coca-Cola, it talks about drinks and soft drinks, so there's a lot of fluidity in the Coca-Cola, and it becomes a very iconic logo. And Linkin Park's logo, it talks about a death metal rock band. So Linkin Park's logo, if you look at, so it is a bold Futura typefaces with a minor iteration. So if you see the Futura typefaces, it's quite similar to that, but there's a little iteration from Futura, and these parts are added in the Futuras to create more deconstructive or a rugged grunge look into that. And Pink Floyd is another band which talks about the transcendental fluidity. So what you see in the logo also, that transcendental fluidity is achieved into the design. And another example is the Bauhaus posters. So if you look at Bauhaus posters by Bauhaus and their style design, so Bauhaus talks about the basic pure geometry, which is square, rectangle, and circle. So Bauhaus font also is a derivative of circle, square, and geometry, but it is not like Futura. But Futura font is it's very less ornate, but here you can see a lot of ornamentation with these gaps and thickness. There are a lot of much more ornamentation than Futura. Why Linkin Park logo has to change the Futura font? One change is when you increase the boldness, it becomes more pictorial. So it's not just normal Futura, it is extreme bold Futura, and a lot of things are added into the Futura to create it from a legible minimal typeface to a display typography. So you can change the typography to create translate from a legible typefaces to a display typefaces with adding with the addition of different design elements. Now in the display typography, there are brand identity and logo you can create with this kind of typography. So these kind of typefaces, there's an emotion and metaphorical connotation attached with the typefaces. So this does not just read the word, so this also talks about the emotion and of the particular brand or the later. So for example, few of the examples of Herb Lubilins, who's a famous logo designers, examples from the typography logos. So if we look at this logos, is mother and child, which is the font size is changed in there's a drastic change in the font size, so that depicts the mother, and the child is within the womb of the mother to create the concept. And the marriage, where the R is reverse to talk about the concept of the marriage, or the family, where it creates different shapes of sizes of eye, and L is changed into something which looks like an eye to create this metaphorical connotation of a family. Now selection of typefaces for design into the visual designs. In visual design, how we select the typefaces. So for regular text, less cognitive, it should have a less cognitive load. So the minimalist typefaces, or the typeface which has less pictorial quality will go with it, and the used for running text and books when we look at this typefaces, which will the usage will be for that, and so it will belong somewhere here in the line. So the typefaces of the body of the text will be should have some should be positioned over here. So few of the examples of these typefaces are also, this has to be the most legible category of the typefaces. A few of the examples which we have already discussed in the previous class are this, but still Clarendon also, you cannot use Clarendon in the very highly loaded text, because it has a lot of elements, a lot of pictorial quality here. So mostly it will be lesser the elements, better it is. And even in the sans serif and serif, sans serif works better in terms of digital typefaces, because these serif ends sometimes becomes pixelated in the digital display. So sans serif goes better in the legibility. But when you print, then serif becomes better, because these serif ends visually creates a end of the eye in the eye. So it gives the eye, gives our eye a clue that this letter ends over here. So if you just write T and T with the end, so this will create some prominent end of the T. So if you decrease the letter in printed media, this will be more legible than sans serif because of this ends, which appears like a black dot, and it creates more legibility. So in terms of display typefaces, digital typefaces, this becomes more legible, because serif ends sometimes becomes pixelated, and it hampers the clarity. And for printed media, this becomes more legible in a very generic terms. Now, designing typefaces, when you want to create and depict something particular style into design. For example, if we take example of a Chinese food restaurant, and if you are designing a web page of the Chinese food restaurant, and if you want to create the display typefaces which goes high on the hierarchy, but this, we are not talking about the legible text of the typefaces, we are talking about the display typefaces, which is somewhere in between the legibility and the pictorial quality. So there you might need to capture the essence of a Chinese style. So for example, there you can take a mood board or your visual palette, or from where you will take the inspiration, that is called mood board. In this mood board, Chinese or some Oriental letters, when Oriental typography with a calligraphic style can be in your mood board, and from there you can create English typefaces, because if you want to target the audience who cannot read Chinese, or who are more and target an international audience, then it has to be English. And then you can create this English typefaces which has the characteristics of a Chinese style or the Oriental scripture. So for example, this calligraphic ends and these styles are taken from all these elements. So you have to decipher and divide these elements of this calligraphic the main mood board, and take different elements to create English letter. So these are the small elements of this letter which has a calligraphic style. So from these elements, if you want to create an English letter, so these with this element you can create a letter which is English but has a style of the from the mood board. So first is the mood board, then English typeface is created from the visual identity of the Chinese typefaces, then the usage of this in the shop front. So this is the process. So in the Chinese typefaces, then the English typeface is created, and which is used in the shop front. First is creating the mood board, where the Chinese typefaces or the basic of your inspiration, the origin of your inspiration will come, and then you do the visual analysis. So you have to analyze what are the elements of design there in your mood board, and take all these elements, identify the main major elements, not all the elements, which is the major element which is giving the style of the design. Identify that, and from there you do a visual adaptation, transfer this identified element into English font and the genesis of a new typefaces from a visual identity of mood board. And the typefaces can be English, or if you want to create a Devanagari typeface, it can be Devanagari or other language. So another example, Arabic typefaces. Arabic typefaces main elements are not the calligraphic style, which is the kashidas, which is the joining lines of one letter to the other, and these dots and other elements. So these are the elements which has been translated into the English one. So A is translated into this to create the visual appearance of a kashida, and all these squarish dots are added over here in terms of T. The Japanese style of T could have been like this, and the Arabic one looks like this, which can have a kashida and the square dots. So it becomes more Arabic, and this becomes more Oriental in look, in style. So you have to decipher what is the main style of the design, and then you can change it. And all these things has comes in between, something in between pictorial and legible. So you have to give a little bit more time than body of the text, so that it and also this is intentional, because you can memorize this as a particular typefaces, and it has a particular style, so that it registers in your mind. Now a few other examples. This is from Devanagari to this is translated into English. So in Devanagari typefaces, this top line is there, so and there's letters hang from this top line. So to mimic that into design, English typefaces, so they have created this, and these are the matras and other elements which you find in the Devanagari scripture, which is added as a ascenders and descenders. So it creates a visual look with the Devanagari simile with the Devanagari font. This is another English and Hindi. This is a typography project where to accustomed the English speaker with the Devanagari typefaces, which is just superimposed, and to create the simile between these two typefaces. But this is one of the example which has a similar process of designing. Now few of the product design and the graphic design and poster design, where it can be created, the similar process is there. So create a mood board, synthesis, and then design or visual adaptation. So application of graphic designs, it can be this clearly gives a very Saracenic look. This also has a Saracenic and Urdu style, and this has a connotation with the Devanagari scripture. Now achieving hierarchy with the typography is what you need to understand when you are designing the front end of the website or web application or mobile application, or the graphic user interface. You are designing the graphic user interface. All the informations will not have the same level of hierarchy. So you have to differentiate the hierarchy for a better communication with the user. So this creation of hierarchy is very important for the information. So what information should go first in user's mind should have the highest level of hierarchy, and the next level of information should have next level of hierarchy, and so on and so forth. So that you have to create with a typography with all other visual design elements which we have discussed earlier. But typography plays a major role into this hierarchy as well. So a typographic hierarchy expresses the organizational system of content, emphasizing some data and diminishing others. So you have to emphasize some data which is more important and which should be quick, of a quick communication, that has to be emphasized, and you have to diminish the emphasis of other data which is of lesser importance. And this hierarchy helps the reader to scan the text when they just want to scan it and take a quick decision, and then enter to the next level of information. So each level of hierarchy should be signaled by one or more cues. Each and every level of hierarchy should have some difference. differences. Otherwise, if it is all same, then it will not communicate with the users properly. So these visual cues can be applications of the line spacing, color, size, style, placement, and all these things. Placement also plays a very important role, because we have discussed about the rule of third, we have discussed about the Gutenberg's diagram and the F pattern of Jacob Nelson's F pattern. So where do you place the important information, that also changes the hierarchy, along with the other things with size, shape, different fonts, and the colors and spacing. Spacing is also important when you write something here with a lot of white space. It eventually gets more importance, and if you have a same excite and all the elements are same, and if you write more information here with a similar amount of white space around it, this has lesser hierarchy, level of hierarchy than this. All the elements and excites, typefaces, and everything can be same, but still this is has more hierarchy, has more emphasis than this system. So the amount of white space, or the amount, this figure ground relationship, the balance between this also helps in hierarchy. Now, what are the elements to create the hierarchy? One is italic. You can, if everything is in Roman, one particular thing is italics, it will create more emphasis, because italics is more ornamental than Roman, because it has a higher degree of inertia. Inertia is another principle of design. So the upright straight line has lesser inertia, the leaning line, the horizontal line has the least amount of inertia. This upright straight line, which is 90 degree, has next level of inertia, and the slant lines has more inertia, and it grabs more eye attention. The bold face is more has more emphasis. If you change the color, everything is in achromatic, one color is getting highlighted, then it is definitely it will augment in the hierarchy. Small caps, so within small letter, if the small capital letters are more easy to read and has much value in the hierarchy. So if you type on the same height, the small letters are there, and then the capital letters are there. This will have more hierarchy than more visual attention than this. So variation in font, if there are a lot of variation in font, then it can create a hierarchy. So everything is in one font, and in particular in one part you are creating the you are changing the font, so that will generally grab eye attention. Serif and sans serif, this sans serif generally has a less attention, and serif creates more attention because serif is generally more ornamental. Now, legibility comparison in print media and digital media, which we were talking about. Serif is designed for print media. We were talking about them when these ends is easy to perceive when we read on the print media, and sans serifs are more suitable for digital media because serif end sometimes becomes pixelated. Now, impact of color selection in the legibility. So legibility of text also depends on the color contrast. So which color you are using on top of what in contrast with which background. Some color has more legibility while associated with a particular background of color. So it's not just color of the text, it's the relationship between the color of the text as well as with respect to the background. So there is a legibility chart which is available, and there's a book by Arthur and Paul Arthur and Roby D. Passini. The book is called Wayfinding Design, and there are a lot of other elements of wayfinding design is discussed, but he have also discussed about the signages in wayfinding design on navigation. In that part, he discussed in detail about the typefaces, which typeface should be used on which background for better legibility in the signage design. But that same theory can be applied here in the GUI or the graphic user interface design when you are designing the front end of with the visual communication element and applying the color and selecting the text. This theory will be very much valid. He have written this book in 1992 and have created a visibility chart chart based on the contrast index of the text and the background color. So this contrast index is the value difference of the two colors. So this is the formula of the scientific formula, which based on that he have created this chart. So K1 K2 by divided by K1, where K1 is the highest color value. Here the highest color value is white. White has 85 and then red has 13. So here 85 is white minus 13 divided by 85 is this, into 100 is what H is. So that is that is the indicator H. So H is the contrast value, and this for optimal contrast value it should be at least more than 70. So if the H becomes more than 70, and here you can see this, if this difference is more, it will definitely become more because it's on the top side. So if the difference is huge, so you have to select the color whose value difference is more in the general way. So this is the hue and their relative value, which is K1 and K2. So from here you can select and see whether this is more than 70, and so this is a contrast value and their relationship in the chart. And sometimes the few colors does not go with each other. For example, if there's a colorblind people, they cannot read green on top of red. So irrespective of their value difference, you should not use this. So few colors are not suitable for each other, and also the color will come from the brand identity and the holistic style of your design. So many other factors are also there, and when you select this, just check with the value difference, and you can see the value difference also there in the Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever software you are using. And you can also interpret yourself whether this contrast is going well or not. Now in the typography, in the poster design, this is James Montgomery's one of the famous poster design during the World War, and you can see this color, this blue and red color goes with the US colors, US flag. So it connotes the US national army, and then also the dress colors and everything goes with this. And the red color has because it's a warm color, and it's written in the US Army enlist now. This main information is written in the warm color. And also this is a Art Deco poster. This is designed by Cassandre, and you can see the hierarchy over here, and this contrast black and white gives a very this emphasize the hierarchy. And this is the name of the voyage, which is which talks about the this is a poster for the cruise. And then the next level of informations are on the next level of hierarchy. Also the excite is more over here. And here you can see underlined term. This is another way of emphasizing a font. So if there is an underline with a very contrasting color, blue is getting underlined with the red. So that is this within this sentence also, this word is getting highlighted. So I want you in the US Army enlist now. So you are this poster is also emphasizing this word you. And if you look at the poster, this the way the man is pointing at, so this is also emphasizing this word and in the graphics. Now a few other examples where there is a connection with the style of design. So this is the main poster name of the movie. This is a movie by Satyajit Ray, Satranj Ki Khilari. And if you look at this, the way it is designed, it has a connotation with the chess. Style of the chase, and that is definitely having a higher hierarchy because it is designed and it has a more pictorial quality than the other information. So it might not be, hierarchy might not start from here, it can be anywhere in the position. It depends on where you want to put your most important information, because there is a chess this king is lying there, and and it has a connection with this. So this part of the poster has the main focal part, and your eye travels from this. Generally, eye grabs more attention in the photograph. So photograph has the highest level of highest power to attract eye, and from there your eye will go to the poster, which has a visual connection with the photograph because it has more pictorial quality, and from there your eye will move up. So it's not from top to bottom eye movement, rather it is from the bottom to top eye movement. And then from here you can again come to this information which is written in very small letter. So after reading this, next you read about who is the director and then other information. So Satyajit Ray's name is on top of it, but it still does not have the highest level of hierarchy. Rather, this part has the highest level of hierarchy. Similarly, it's another poster designed by Satyajit Ray, and then this part becomes the highest level of highest level in terms of typefaces. But there's a graphical part, and then there are elements on top and on the bottom. So it kind of visually balances the poster. And then here, this is again the Satyajit Ray's poster. On mostly warm background, which is red and yellow, the blue has the highest level of attraction value because it's a contrasting, it's almost a contrasting color, and it is juxtaposed with a contrasting color which is yellow. The complementary color of blue is orange, but this is juxtaposed by yellow and red, which is part of two split complement. You can say it's kind of a split complementary part of this orange, and only this part is blue, and there's a little bit blue tint over here. So this has a highest level of hierarchy. Then a few photographs are there, and even the photographs does not have contain the blue color, so to give emphasis on the text. And then some other other texts are there too, which has the next level of hierarchy. So I have used a Bengali script so that you can concentrate on just on the visual without reading the text. If you cannot read Bengali, just to look at the graphic poster and understand which can have a highest amount of which can be on the higher level of hierarchy, and which can be on the lower level of hierarchy. Now in the newspaper also we use this hierarchy. So this is somewhat similar to the Gothic font, which has a very high pictorial quality. This is the New York Times main headline, and this is two different days newspaper. One is for a normal everyday's newspaper, and this is, you can understand, this is this 9/11's, just after 9/11's attack. So in the normal days newspaper, New York Times, this newspaper will have the highest hierarchy. Then the other newspapers, which headlines, which comes here, and within that there are two subdivision of this headings. So within this FBI is some event, there are one report and another report and the other report, which comes in the next level of hierarchy. And if you want to go through the story, the news, and then this is written in the small font, which is the body of the text. So the elements of the pictorial quality decreases. This has the highest level of pictorial quality because this is somewhat similar to Gothic font, which has a lot of elements. So T and other elements has other letters has a lot of design elements into it. Then there's they have used italics to increase the emphasis. Now this font has more weight than this. So this is the first news and then the second news, and also you know that we start reading from this side to this side. So this must be the important news, and this must be the next level of important news. So this is wide, written in wide, this is written in condensed. And then there are other news which is relatively smaller, and you don't see though it is italics, but you don't see this level of this amount amount of X height, and also within that there are a lot of variation to create the difference in hierarchy, and then there are advertisement which has the least amount of hierarchy. So we also know which also conforms to the Gutenberg's principle. Now in this particular day, this is a really very important day for US's history, and you can see US attacked and hijacked this jet, and all this information overpowers even the name of this paper. So it does not matter which paper is it. This information is so very important for the US citizens. So they have really created this hierarchy of this news, overpowering the brand and the name of the newspaper itself, because they must have particular style and particular font assigned for the body of the text, so they could not change it to the particular more ornate font, but still they have gone with a without changing the font and without changing it to a very so without using a very pictorial font, they have used a very bold, and they have increased the text height and created a very bold statement. And if they have increased pictorial quality, it would have taken more time to read the news. That's why without they have not gone for a increased pictorial quality, rather than they have gone for a bold and larger text height. And after that then the other newses diminish in the hierarchy, and you can see the whole newspaper's front page has the same one news which talks about this, and all the news falls under this. Now if we look at some examples of websites, so this is a ClearTrip website which helps us book flight and hotels and other travel related we do travel related tasks. So this is a first the second page of ClearTrip, where the flight is getting booked. So if you look at the information, search flight is a very important information, but this does not overpower the logos and the brand's identity. So this contains the color of the ClearTrip's logo and the color. The next hierarchy is this, but still it is more important. That's why it is the X height is more, and then it has a thickness in the information, and which comes within the book flight information, and other informations details which has ample amount of white space so that you don't miss any information. So it could have been cluttered and all this information could have been cramped, but then you miss a lot of information. So when you give a lot of white space, generally the legibility increases. It might be small font, but still this is the legibility is more. And then these parts are bold so that you know what is your destination, what is your origin, and then dates and everything. And to create there's a other clickable options. They have changed the color so that you click on this, and because of the color this is getting highlighted. And then search flight is a really very important information, because after you fill up all these things, search flight will be the next step. So the next step is getting highlighted, and also it follows the Gutenberg's principle. So this is on the on the last quadrant, and from here you go to the next page. And also they wanted to promote the deals and other gift cards, so that's why they have added colors, and the deals is in bold, and also the X height is more so that you don't miss that. And today's price, this is also an important information, whether it's going up, which is getting red, or it goes down, it will become green. So that's an important information, and they are depicting that with the color. Now if we go to the next level of next page, here the important information is not search flight or book. Here the important information is the money, because people take decision based on the money of the which flight they will select. So this information is really very important, and this remains constant because that is the logo of this website, and also they wanted to promote something. So for those ads are getting flashed, and after money, so this kind of information system is there, which you scroll down and start seeing different flights. And also these informations they have created with the different color contrast, so 0 stop, 1 stop, 2 stop. This is an important decision, and other search criterias is on this side. And another important information is when people want to select a particular airlines, so that's they might have a frequent flyer, they might be a frequent flyer or have some deal with the particular airlines. So that's why also this is a this has quite a lot of information, and this gives you the relative information for the price of the ticket, and which is also going with the money. So this together talks about the price of the ticket along with the lowest price and relative price of different flyers, different carriers of the flyers. So that so here in this page, the money becomes a very important decision making criteria. And the next level of decision making criteria is the date. If you are not happy with the money, you can select change the date. So here the calendar becomes really big, so you change the date and you decide on which date you want to fly, and also here you change the carrier and you decide in which carrier you want to fly. And the similar information, similar page is also there in the Make My Trip. Here they are also creating the similar hierarchy, but in a different way. There are many ways to translate an information architecture into a visual design. So information architecture for them will be quite similar, but based on the visual design, they have changed their websites. And also, of course, the information architecture from Care Trips perspective and Make My Trips perspective might also have some differences. That's why their position of this information also differs. So here also you can see decision making criteria are on that side, their logo on top, but here they have created this book and the information of the money on the bottom to follow the Gutenberg's principle, which is coming on the 4th quadrant, and it has again a higher contrast, big excite, and the book flight is also there to create, and also it goes with the different color, which also matches with the Make My Trips brand identity. And here also there are based on duration, arrival, and other criteria, you can select the flight. So the basic theory of this is taken from Steve Krug's Don't Make Me Think. This is a page from that book. If you want to know more about the usability, you should read this book, which is available online. So what is the difference between what we assume and when the reality is? When there are a lot of clutter in the design, we assume that user will read everything and scan everything, but the reality is user only read which they want to read and which has the higher level of hierarchy, and then they skip other information. So if you cramp a lot of information into one page, you might lose your client, or you might not be able to give the information, the important information to the users. So the hierarchy becomes really important. And what designers build, designers means naive designers who's not well-trained designers. What do they build? If there's a lot of clutter into the design, they create a lot of information, but what users see, user only see the important informations. Whether they want to buy a ticket, so they will see a few information, they will just scan through the page. How do I want to check my frequent flyers or miles? So when there are different tasks in their mind, so user come with the website with some task in the mind, and then they will just look for those words within the page. If they don't find that word within your page, then they will just leave the page and they will go for the alternative website, and they will not use the website. So when there is a task, it's very important for the designer to interpret what are the main tasks and how many users will come to the website with the particular task 1, and how many users will come to the website with the particular task 2 and task 3, and so on and so forth. So if there's a first most important task is to buy a ticket, flight ticket, the next might be the checking frequent flyer, the next might be the hotel. So this should have the highest information regarding booking a flight, should have the highest hierarchy, and the frequent flyer might be on the next level, hotel might be on the next level. So these information has to be designed according to that, and visual communication design, selection of typography is really helpful for that. So here many information, again he's talking about all this information might not be relevant for the users, only provide the relevant informations, and if they want to go deeper into that information, then lead them step by step and design the information architecture. And information architecture and visual design has to be intertwined, and it should perform as a one as holistically to give a better user experience for the users. Thank you.